Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good weekend, and welcome back to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So, Blacksmith Radovan in Tachov wants to make a fancy sword as a wedding gift for the son of Lord Samin, but that kind of sword's going to require some fancy Toledo steel. We've heard that there's an old hermit living out in Apollonia who used to fight against the Moors in Andalusia and had a Toledo steel sword. We've also heard that some kind of apparition has been seen at his hermitage and he might have made a pact with the devil, so we're heading to Troskovitz to have a word with the local rumour monger, Betty the innkeeper.
Greetings. Do you need something?
Bloody hell, that's the fourth different accent I've heard her using now.
I need some advice.
You want some advice? Here's some for free. I catch you fighting here again and I'll spank your bare ass like a brat. Down to business. I don't have all day for you, so what do you want?
I promised Radovan the blacksmith I'd go and see Ambrose the Hermit in Apollonia.
My God, lad, stay away from them rocks. Ambrose the Hermit sold his soul to the devil and won't talk to nobody no more.
Yeah, I heard that as well. But it seems a bit far-fetched.
So why would an evil spirit suddenly start appearing near Apollonia? It's the devil's work, believe you me.
And has anyone sent to the castle for the priest?
Not at all. Bailiff Thrush is keeping it quiet so far. 4 strangers came here yesterday. They sat in the corner there, but once they heard about the apparition, they started to take a big interest.
What strangers?
They looked like monks, only they had daggers concealed under their robes. I saw them clearly. I'm telling you, there's something fishy going on around Ambrose.
But I have to speak to him.
Didn't you hear what I said? He doesn't speak to nobody. He hides away in his hut and sends everyone away. I'd think long and hard before doing anything if I was you, because this reeks of hell.
Well, the one thing that I can pretty confidently state is that there is no pact with the devil going on here. We're not going to have to worry about Beelzebub biting our bum, because this is not a fantasy game. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that Ambrose the Hermit doesn't believe that he's made a pact with the devil. I mean, that's certainly possible. Don't know an awful lot about this hermit. I mean, we know he's a hermit. For the benefit of anybody for whom English isn't their first language, a hermit is somebody who's chosen to live a life of isolation. Usually out in the wilderness somewhere, top of a mountain, back of a cave, middle of a forest, whatever. Anywhere where they weren't going to run into people. Ironically, people would often seek them out and ask their advice, assuming that they were wise and knew stuff. And I suppose, it kind of worked out for the hermit as well, because they weren't running into people every day, but every now and then somebody would turn up asking them for advice and bringing them gifts and offerings. And that was the case with Ambrose. He certainly used to have people turn up and he would give them advice, but he stopped doing that all of a sudden, and then some kind of apparition was seen. Not quite clear on exactly what it is. And then what's the deal with these 4 monks that turned up with concealed daggers asking after him? Aside from the fact that he's a hermit, we don't really know an awful lot about Ambrose. We know he has a sword of Toledo steel. And you don't get those things for free with packets of cornflakes. We also know that he fought against the Moors in Andalusia. That's Spain, by the way. We're assuming that Ambrose was originally from Bohemia, because he obviously speaks the language, and went to Spain in order to fight the Moors, armed with a sword of Toledo steel, which would suggest that he was some kind of knight, perhaps belonging to some kind of holy order, because, well, the Moors were Muslim invaders from North Africa who conquered most of Spain and Portugal. And the wars against the Moors were, well, obviously, political and nationalistic, if you were Spanish or Portuguese, but anybody going to Spain and Portugal to fight the Moors was motivated by religion. They were religious wars as well. See, this would all tally with real historical events, because this game, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, is set in the year 1403, the very beginning of the 15th century. And the wars of reconquest, I actually called them the Reconquista, were still going on. at the time that this game was set, it didn't actually conclude until right at the end of the 15th century in 1492, roughly 90 years after this game was set. And the war in Spain and well, I say the wars, they were on again, off again over the period of 600 years, from the 8th century until the 15th century, until the very end of the 15th century, when the last Muslim stronghold on the Iberian Peninsula at Granada fell to the forces of Queen Isabella I and Ferdinand II of Aragon. So they were still going on at the time this game was set, with Christian knights from all across Europe flocking to the banners of the various different Catholic rulers of Spain and Portugal. It was actually part of the Crusades. See, people see the Crusades and they think it was all to do with the Holy Land, and it was, but it was also to do with the liberation and reconquest of the Iberian Peninsula. It was all part of the Crusades as a whole. So it's entirely reasonable to expect that Ambrose, the Hermit, was a Christian knight of some kind who was fighting during the Reconquista and is now living as a hermit here in Bohemia. What the hell's this? It's not quite a campsite. It's more like a sort of observation point. There's a little jug of beer here, which I think I'm going to have. Oh, I know where we are. Yeah, I know what this is. That's exactly what this is. It's an observation spot for bandits. This stream crosses the road here, because we are in Apollonia. And this is an ambush spot, so they can see people crossing the road from up on the hill without being seen. Yeah, that's a bandit ambush spot. It's not unusual, particularly at night, when you wander around this spot in Apollonia and you find bandits either lying in ambush or picking over a dead body of somebody that they have just ambushed. I've gone too far to the east. I've left the search area. Actually, while I'm here, looking at the quest description, it says find out more about the Hermit. It's still incomplete. And also find out the truth about the devil. Optional. I'm going to fast travel back to Troskowitz and ask around some more, because I've obviously missed something. Innkeeper Betty, she of the different accents, isn't the only person who knows about Ambrose. I mean, all kinds of people from the village would go to speak to him. Let's try this alehouse, mate.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
Oh, there we go. Spot of luck.
What happened to Ambrose, the Hermit?
He's at death's door with some ailment, and there's peculiar talk about him. They say he made a pact with hell.
I hear Ambrose the Hermit has some old sword.
A few folks saw it at his place some years ago, but then it disappeared. Maybe he sold it. Or chucked it out.
Do you know anything about the devil?
Mother of God! Such blasphemy!
Alright, so that's new. Apparently he's got some kind of ailment and he's dying, which might explain why he didn't want to see anybody.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to ask you about that hermit in Apollonia.
Go on then.
Where did these peculiar monks come from?
Hard to say, but they rode in on well-fed horses.
Monks on horseback? That's definitely odd.
Well, Bashka the Butcher says they came from the bishop about that diabolical apparition. In short, the Inquisition.
How do I get to the hermit?
You're asking for trouble, lad. But all right, if you insist, you go through Apollonia, along the path below the rocks, till you reach the point where it crosses the stream. And from there, you take the path uphill to the left, leading into the rocks.
Which is exactly where I was.
Who's this hermit fella, anyway?
No one knows. He settled in the rocks a few years back. Folk used to go to him for various healing ointments or advice.
And what has he got to do with this apparition?
Well, he was at death's door recently, bedridden, and then suddenly he's got his health back. Just like that. And he's like a different man since then. He sends everyone who goes to see him packing. Mark my words. He sold his soul to the devil to get better. And the devil sometimes comes here on the prowl for unwary souls.
What do you know about this apparition?
Stanislav, the herds boy. He comes running into the village that night, all terrified, saying he'd seen a rider from hell in Apollonia. And the very next night, it appeared in the rocks below the road to Tahov. There's this conciliatory stone cross there. And the next day, it was at a funny angle. There's some devilry in it for sure.
Where can I find the herds boy?
Stanislav has a sheep pen in the meadow beyond the Troskovitz graveyard, right above the big crossroads outside Apollonia.
And it was the herds boy who saw it by the cross, or someone else?
The apothecary's wife, Gerda. Ask her yourself. She's not been herself ever since, poor woman.
Alright, so a couple of people have actually seen this apparition. Some kind of dark rider. Maybe there's a Nazgul riding around or something. The herd boy and the apothecary's wife. So the apothecary is actually right here in Troskovitz. It's the next house over from the carpenter. And apparently these monks are members of the Inquisition. So somebody's taking it all very, very seriously. Where's Gerda? That wasn't her. Is this her? It is.
Lord be with you.
I'd like to ask you about something.
No, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Go away, please.
Yeah, sorry Gerda, not going to happen. I do have a better chance of getting her to spill the beans by preying on her fears, but I mean that would be cruel. She's been through enough, so I'm going to go for the nice option.
Wait, Gerda. I didn't come to mock you. On the contrary, I want to help you.
Really?
I believe you really did see something. But I want to know what it really was.
So, what do you want me to tell you?
Relax, Gerda. Have a think, and then tell me what happened with the apparition.
It was the day before yesterday. I was picking marshmallow roots above the rocks. It grows by the cross there, near the big dry tree not far from the road to Tahov. I didn't get home till after dark when I suddenly realized I didn't have my knife.
So you went back to the cross?
God have mercy. He hopped up right out of the ground in front of me. He was all in black and he was grinding his teeth. I started to scream. There was something glinting in the dark and this clanking sound and I just turned and scarpered.
That's all?
At one point I turned around and I saw a dark shadow darting across the field. Proper flying along it was like the devil and heading straight to Apollonia.
Don't worry, Gerda. Nobody's going to make fun of you anymore. I'll find out what it was all about and what you really saw there.
What do you think happened?
I don't know, but I know it wasn't the
I
devil.
don't know yet, but you needn't fear. Everything will get cleared up soon.
Thank you. By all the saints, thank you. But please, come and tell me how it turned out. I'll make it worth your while.
I mean, I know it wasn't the devil, but that doesn't mean Henry knows that it wasn't the devil. Although Henry does seem fairly rational. Anyway, I need to go and check out this cross.
Gerda really did see something. That cross hides a secret.
There's a reconciliation cross that apparently got knocked over by the devil when he jumped out of the ground. A reconciliation cross, by the way, you will see them scattered around the roads in this game. They were real things. If somebody had done something that they felt guilty about, even if they had been legally punished for it, they would sometimes build a cross in order to atone for whatever it was they felt they had done. And these were called reconciliation crosses. Apparently Beelzebub knocked one of them over when he jumped out of the ground and scared the living shit out of Gerda. And here it is.
The conciliatory cross. An old memorial to some unfortunate event. This is where Gerda saw the apparition.
Oh, it looks like Mutt's found something. Alright, Mutt, I can take a hint. We shall dig.
Fresh soil. Someone was digging.
Fucking hell, Wolf. Got no sense of occasion, have you? Oh god, there's three of them. Well, three of them, two of us. Why is... I think I've run into a bug here. I think that first one is dead. Go on, Mutt. Good boy. but it was locked in a... Yeah, that one. Trust me, it doesn't take 7 or 8 slashes to put a wolf down in this game. Not if you've got a decent longsword. I believe that one is actually dead. Yes, because it's given me the option to butcher it while it's still standing up. There we go. Yeah, I'll take the fangs, they're useful for alchemy. I can trade in the ears at gamekeepers for a bounty. I'm more interested in what's in the sack. So, we Crusaders of the Red Star Waffenrock. A Waffenrock bearing the symbol of the Order of the Crusaders of the Red Star. Okay. Got a couple of law books there as well. Chronicle of the Knights of the Cross. And Seneschal Ambrose's decree. An appointment decree of Knight Ambrose to the role of the Seneschal of the Knights of the Cross. Holy crap. There's a letter here to Ambrose from some informer regarding a fire at the Order's commandery in Prague. There's a bit of cash. It's only 30 groschen, but I'll take it. And a Crusader's cloak. Brand new. Very recently buried here. Unlike everything else.
He didn't take either the coin or the books. So it wasn't a thief. It must be something else he was after.
Alright, starting to get some idea of actually what happened here. Or at least what it was that leapt up out of the ground and scared Gerda. But let's have a look at the letters. Here we go. Brother Ambrose, I know something that should interest you. I know who started the fire at St. Francis's almhouse and why. They want the Grand Master removed too. Meet me tonight at the appointed place. The Dominicans from the Inquisition suspect me and the Bishop won't help us anymore. Don't trust anyone. Okay. Oh, and this is the decree that appointed Brother Ambrose of Prague to the rank of Seneschal of his Holy Order of Knights. The Seneschal is technically the one in charge on a day-to-day basis, although not actually in charge of the order. That would be the Grand Master, but the Seneschal is the one who basically, he's like the steward or the Chamberlain. He basically runs everything. So he wasn't just any old knight. He was actually fairly important. But apparently, at least according to the letter, maybe the entire order, but certainly the Grand Master and Ambrose himself, got in trouble with the Inquisition. The history of the rise and fall of the noble and honourable order of the Knights of the Cross. So this looks like the history of the order of knights that he belonged to. Alright, I'm starting to see what's happened here. So, it looks like the reason Ambrose is living the life of a hermit in the rocks of Apollonia, in the back end of Bohemia, is he's in hiding. He used to be the Seneschal, second in command, effective day-to-day commander of a, looks like a reasonably important order of holy knights who got themselves into trouble with the Inquisition. And they wouldn't be the first. The Knights Templar, for example, an extremely powerful order of holy knights, an extremely powerful and rich order of holy knights, were owed money by most of the crown kings of Europe, as well as the Pope, who contrived to have them all declared heretics, hunted down and killed, basically to write off their debts. And it looks like, according to this chronicle, more or less exactly the same thing happened to Ambrose's Order of the Knights of the Red Cross, which would explain why he's in hiding, living as a hermit in Apollonia. So I'm guessing that it was Ambrose who actually buried the sack here with all this incriminating evidence pointing to his true identity. But somebody else dug it up and then dumped the Crusader cloak in there, and they were probably caught in the act by Gerda as she was wandering back. Scared the shit out of her by jumping up out of the ground, all dressed in black, i.e. jumping up out of the hole that they'd been digging up to get to Ambrose's stuff. She ran off thinking she saw the devil. And then whoever it was who was digging up Ambrose's stuff reburied it along with the Crusader cloak. So whoever they weren't the 4 inquisitors who were seen in Troskowitz asking questions about Ambrose. It seems more likely that whoever it was that Gerda saw was actually another member of Ambrose's order, which would be why they hid their Crusader's cloak, along with all of Ambrose's incriminating evidence. This might explain why Ambrose suddenly isn't receiving visitors. I mean, if somebody from his old order has just appeared back in his life, he probably doesn't want anybody turning up and, you know, seeing him talking to another fugitive. Although that doesn't explain what... Hello, hang on a second.
Yes.
Some bandits on the road up ahead. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is a very, very popular ambush spot. I could probably take them in a fight, but I'm just going to go around them. Although that is the spot. You're supposed to turn left and head up the hill along the stream to find Ambrose's hut. But there is something down here as well. Let's check this out. Oh, there's a skeleton over there. This fella's seen better days. No evidence of recent... Oh, hello. Wait, a black horse?
Huh. A horse? What's it doing here in the woods? I should take a closer look.
The villagers said that the shepherd boy got the shit scared out of him by a black rider charging along the road at night. A black rider, huh? I wonder if this is connected. It's a fine looking horse. What do I know about horses?
A beautiful horse. Black as charcoal. The herds boy wasn't lying. And you don't smell of brimstone. You're just an ordinary horse. Someone really did come to see the hermit. But it wasn't the devil.
This is a really, really good horse. Unfortunately, I'm not able to steal him. I can only inspect him, which is a bit of a bummer. So that explains the black rider that the shepherd boy saw. Probably the same person who scared the shit out of Gerda, digging up all of Ambrose's old stuff. So somebody, and it's almost certainly a member of his old order, has come to see Ambrose. Stashed his horse here because, well, Ambrose lives in the rocks and you can't get the horse up there. None of this explains... Because, remember, Ambrose had fallen sick. Everybody said he was at death's door. And then suddenly he got better and refused to see anybody. And this is why everybody assumes he's made a deal with the devil. He sold his soul to the devil so he could recover from his illness. I guess I'm going to need to go and confront Ambrose. Now, all of this just for a bit of Toledo steel. Better be worth it. It is starting to get really dark here. I mean, I could light a torch, but I don't really want to do that in Apollonia, because torches out here are just bandit magnets. But I'm going to find the hermit's place, and I think I'll just wait until morning. There we go. Somebody's hut up ahead. This must be it. It's past time until 6 AM. Oh. He's not up and about yet. Well, I am, and I'm a bit peckish, so let's have some breakfast. Dried beef, and then I'm going to wait another hour for him to get up so I can actually talk to him and find out exactly what the hell's going on here. Whoa, hang on. Whoa, calm yourself.
Calm down. I surrender.
He doesn't appear to be accepting my surrender.
Enough. I give up.
Oh, fuck this.
Didn't see that coming, ah!
Good boy, Mutt. I don't want to kill him. Can't talk to him when he's dead. But he's not really giving me an awful lot of choice. Holy shit. That hurt. What the fuck was that all about? I mean, another said he wasn't receiving visitors, but that seems a little extreme. What's he got on him? Hunting crossbow. I'll take his ammo. Cleric's hood, cleric's habit. Oh, his jewellery's expensive. 325 groschen. I'll take that. A couple of potions on him. One of them's a fever cure. That might explain why he suddenly got better after being sick, although it wouldn't explain why he suddenly became so hostile to visitors. So I'm no closer to getting any answers, and I can't even talk to him now because he's dead. I mean, it's not like it was through choice. I tried to surrender so I could talk it out with him, but he wasn't having any of it. I was forced to defend myself. So, what the hell is going on here? And who's he been writing a letter to? Alright, let's pick the lock. See if I can get some answers in these chests. Medium difficulty. Come on, it's not that hard. Get on with it, Jingles. Gotcha. Nope. Nothing. I mean, something, but nothing useful. So nothing there. Nothing on the bed. Nothing in the cooking pit, corner, fireplace, that thing, whatever it is. Nothing on the shelves. There's an upstairs. Oh, there's another chest here with another medium lock. Alright, let's give it a go. And oh, well, there's a design sketch there for a broadsword, which is nice. Means I can craft broadswords now, but it's not what I'm looking for. Remember, I mean, oh hello, some bacon. I'll take the bacon. Even if I don't have it, I can always feed it to Mud. I mean, I'm here to get his sword, which is apparently made of Toledo steel. But I'm kind of curious as to exactly what the hell has been going on here. And why he was so hostile and just instantly trying to kill me the second I turned up. Let's wash the blood off. Because I did take a couple of licks. So what the hell am I missing here? I mean, I am in a search area, according to the game. So there is something here to be found. I just don't know what it is or where it is. Well, the sword. But finding the sword isn't going to explain why this guy went berserk and tried to kill me the second I showed up. I mean, I know where the sword is. It's the sword he just tried to kill me with. It's lying down there right next to his body. But none of that is explaining... Is this... Oh no, that's the latrine. That's his shithole. I'm probably not going to find anything in there. Well, I might, but I ain't going to like whatever I find in there. So, why did he go berserk? Why did he try to kill me the second I turned up? Who turned up in the middle of the night scaring all the inhabitants of Troskovitz, digging up all of his stuff? And who are these 4 inquisitors on well-fed horses with concealed... I mean, the inquisitors, yeah, I mean, I get that. Clearly the order that Ambrose belonged to got themselves in trouble with the church. The church probably owed them money, so declare them heretics and have them killed and write up your debts. Wouldn't be the first time the church had done it. So clearly the Inquisition somehow got wind that Ambrose was still alive and they're digging around looking for him. But none of that explains the other guy who turned up. Or why Ambrose just suddenly started attacking everybody who turned up to talk to him. I've been over this hut with a fine tooth comb. And I couldn't find anything. I checked every shelf. I checked under the benches. I checked behind the cooking corner. I checked anything hanging from the ceiling, and I couldn't find shit. There was nothing interesting in the 2 locked chests. The only thing out of the ordinary was up here. There are a couple of sacks that I could pick up. And initially I thought, well, why would I want to do that? Here in the corner. But they're the only other thing here that I can interact with. So, and there's not a lot of space here to move them to, but if I move the sacks away... I need to find some space to put it down. If I move the sacks away, hidden underneath them, there is a book. And the book is where we start to get some of our answers. It's the Diary of Knight Conrad. Now I don't know who Knight Conrad is, because he's not Ambrose. But let's get clear and have a look. Who's Knight Conrad and what does he have to do with any of this?
Bloody hell. This hasn't been here for long. It looks like some kind of notes. Like a diary. Let's have a look at it then.
So this is recent. It's just the year before. and Knight Conrad made a note in the diary about the murder of 2 other brothers of his order. A month later in December, one of the other brothers of the order, working as an apothecary, apparently became involved with the Inquisition and was smuggled out and escaped from the city to the countryside, the city in question being Königsberg. After questioning various relatives, Knight Conrad discovered that the nephew, Mark, of one of the murdered brothers, was released from the bishop's prison shortly after these events took place. Conrad's investigation revealed that Mark was not only involved with the 2 previous murders, but had also been involved in a plot to poison the Archbishop of Prague, all on the orders of the Inquisition. Still no idea what any of this has to do with Ambrose or the Knights of the Red Star. But don't worry, we are getting there, because when we turn the page and we check out Knight Conrad's diary entry for the month of Quintilis, or May 1403, in other words, very, very recently, Conrad took what he learned to the Grand Master of his order, who it turned out was also working for the Inquisition, and tried to have him killed, which left Conrad with nobody else to turn to but the old seneschal of the order, Ambrose, who was now living in seclusion as a hermit. But when Conrad turned up to see Ambrose, he was at death's door, dying of a fever, which tracks with what all of the villagers were saying. And shortly after Conrad arrived, Ambrose did in fact die of the fever. Conrad buried Ambrose in the meadow above the hut, marked the grave with a broken sword next to 2 gnarled birch trees. That will be the sword that we're after. And it looks like at that point, with Ambrose dead and nowhere else for Conrad to turn to, he decided he would take Ambrose's spot and try to pass himself off as him, living the life of a hermit here in the rocks of Apollonia. And of course the fact that the Inquisition were in the area asking around about Ambrose explains why Conrad, pretending to be Ambrose, was so hostile when I turned up out of the blue, armed and armoured, asking questions. So Conrad buried Ambrose in the meadow above his hut. I'm looking for 2 gnarled birch trees and a pile of stones with a broken sword. And hopefully the broken sword is the sword of Toledo steel that I'm here looking for and that sparked this whole thing off. So I'm looking for a meadow and 2 gnarled birch trees. Well, this looks like a meadow. Oh, we're right behind Castle Trotsky.
Where's the Hermit's
I'm in the search
grave?
area.
It ought to be somewhere around here.
But how big is the search area?
Hermit!
Here you go, Muttley. Have yourself some bacon while it's still good. I'm alright, I've got some honey. Oh, 2 gnarled birch trees. And a grave marked with a broken sword. Well, it's not very Christian, but I guess we're grave robbing, boys.
There's nothing more here. Sorry, Ambrose. Rest in peace.
Is that the sword I'm after, though? I mean, that's Ambrose. Yep, there it is. Ambrose's broken sword.
Now that's what I call steel. It may be broken, but there's hardly a trace of rust.
See, Ambrose. Shame I never got to meet you. He sounded alright. Okay, I need to get this sword back to Blacksmith Radovan in Tatrov.
Greetings. What do you need?
So I'm back, Master Blacksmith.
Excellent. How did it go with the Hermit?
He's dead.
What? Did you?
No, not me. It just got a bit complicated. The Hermit died a few days ago. I had to find his grave, and this sword was on it. You weren't wrong. It's first-class Toledo steel, Radovan.
God's nails. That's quite something.
First-class welded steel. Ambrose must have broken the sword himself, deliberately. It wouldn't have just happened in battle.
That's exactly what we need. See now, youngster. My clever plan worked out nicely in the end.
Right. Well, Thank you very much for your, clever plan.
You haven't disappointed me yet, lad. So I'm sure forging an exceptional sword won't be a problem for you either.
Wait, I thought you wanted to do it yourself. I'm just your assistant, after all.
Not at all. I trust you. One day you'll become a master. That is, unless you lose your head first.
Right, so, yeah, I'm finding the sword, which wasn't fucking easy, by the way, and I am also forging the sword and then handing it over to the blacksmith so he can gift it to Lord Samin's son as a wedding gift. Here you go, look at this fancy Toledo steel sword, what I just made. Ooh, aren't I good? Ooh, isn't it fancy? Except nothing of the sort. It was me who did it all. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I've got something for you, Blacksmith.
God's nails, you weren't bullshitting.
I'd say it looks pretty much like a sword, eh?
Looks like. This is a damned fine piece of steel. Damned fine.
Thanks. I was glad to help, but now there's something I need from you.
I'll pay you, of course. And if you want to do some smithing, I won't throw you out of my forge either.
No, you know full well what I need. I have to get to Samin's wedding.
Why is it so important for you? It'll just be a lot of people stuffing their faces. You can find that anywhere.
I have my reasons, and you don't need to know them.
God's nails, lad. You're full of mysteries. But whatever, that's your business. I don't mind taking you to the wedding. Nothing to it. We can set off once you're ready.
So that's it. I can now go to the wedding at Samin, either as a guest of Blacksmith Radovan, or as a guest of Miller Kreisel, because I've completed both of the quest lines. And they were both worth doing, although I think I probably preferred the Blacksmith's. Not that there was anything wrong with Miller Kreisel's quest line, I mean it was fun too, they're both definitely worth doing. But, well, how can I put this? While I do like Miller Kreisel as a character, Blacksmith Radovan tends to get to the point a lot faster, because Miller Kreisel really loves the sound of his own voice. Although, on the bright side, you do tend to spend so long talking to Miller Kreisel that it does really improve your speechcraft skill quite a bit. But I think I'm going to go with Miller Kreisel. Turn up in the next episode to find out how that works out, and also who this strange Miller is that we found in this random encounter while fast travelling, because yes, it is somebody that we've met before. Hope you've enjoyed today's video, hope you're all having a great weekend, and as always,
Greetings,
take care,
Miller.
and I'll catch you next time.
Wait, is that you?